My mother is one of the greatest teachers I have ever met. Always has been, and she always will be. She taught us when we were still quite young how to appropriately serve coffee to the guests who came into our home. She taught us that at the dinner table, the food is always passed around in only one direction. It's easier that way. That we were to prepare our plates as the dishes came to us, but we were not allowed to eat until everyone's plate had been prepared and all of us had prayed together the blessing before meals. It was then that we could begin to eat. She taught us that our names were truly very special, and that they were, in fact, God's name for us. So we did not have nicknames, and we did not call one another names. Wencil is Wencil, Janice is Janice, Herb is Herb, and Daniel is Daniel, and that's what we call one another and always have. And I will never, ever forget the scolding I got the day that I referred to one of my siblings as stupid. I never have nor ever will make that mistake again. In the gospel passage today from St. John, we have this absolutely beautiful story. Jesus cures the man who was born blind. No one's ever been able to do anything like that before, but today Jesus is curing the man who was born blind. And please, please read that passage and see that in Scripture the gift of sight, the being able to see, is the gift of understanding. So this man who had been born blind, has never seen anything but darkness, is now able to see himself and his world in a whole new way, in a whole new light. He is able to see and to understand who he is, who God calls him to be, and where God has placed him and where God is calling him to be. For the very first time in his life, he knows who he is and where he is going. What a tremendous gift that Jesus has given this man. And that's certainly an incredibly important part of this gospel passage. Essential to what we're doing today as we celebrate the second of the scrutinies with our catechumen and our elect who are continuing their journey to full initiation into the faith. But I'd like to take a look at this gospel passage from yet another angle, because there's another person or group of persons in this gospel who have so very, very much to teach us. And I'm referring to the Pharisees in today's gospel. Look what they are doing and what they have done. They are first and foremost the teachers of the law. They have set themselves up as being the absolute authority and expert on all things Jewish. They have so strictly adhered to Old Testament law that they have absolutely no problem in denying the blind man his physical or spiritual health. They have created fear not only in the blind man, but certainly that's visible in the parents of the blind man who refuse to answer their questions because they're going to be thrown out of the synagogue. These Pharisees have truly become a breed apart. So much better than everyone else who are now merely underlings, slaves, servants, the refuse of human society. May I read you a definition that I discovered? Is that okay? This comes out of Webster's New World Dictionary. You've heard me before. This is the other good book. Here's the definition. A person who hurts, frightens, or tyrannizes over those who are smaller or weaker. Let me repeat that. A person who hurts, frightens, or tyrannizes over those who are smaller or weaker. That's the definition of a bully, as given to us by Webster's New World Dictionary. A bully. And that's exactly what's happening in this gospel passage from St. John. The Pharisees are bullying the man who had been born blind. They are bullying the parents of that man. They are, in fact, bullying Jesus, and they won't stop until they have successfully put him to death on Good Friday. You see, it's not just an issue of this age. It's something that's been going on since time began. The Pharisees, in this passage, were bullies. And we see it happening today over and over and over, and bullying has become so commonplace in our society and in our culture that we frequently do not even recognize it. The presidential campaign, they're all bullies. And they're bullying one another, and they're bullying us. Monday evening, I was sitting with my mother watching the news, and she turned to me and she said, "Wencil, these people are so hateful." I said, "Yes, ma'am, they are. It's sad." And bullying takes place in our homes. We make a joke out of it. "Hey, I'm the man, I wear the pants around here." And she responds, "Yes, and I put them out. I choose which ones." Because somebody has to be better than the other. Somebody has to be in control, which not even God has. We might have charge, but no one should have control. Bullying takes place everywhere. It happens right here in the parish, under the guise of protection of children. And a parent walks in and just absolutely tries to blow the pace apart because he or she is protecting their children. When in fact, what they're teaching their children is that you can have absolutely anything and everything you want. You simply have to take it away from somebody else. That's bullying. And it's become so prevalent in our society and in our culture that we no longer even recognize it when it rears its ugly head. How wonderful that today the Church has given us this passage from St. John so that we can truly look at who we are through the eyes of light and understanding and truth. Evaluate how we interact with one another and with the world, and come to a greater understanding of who we are and who is God calling us to be. That's why today I'm not vested in purple, because Jesus has already given us the light of truth, the light of understanding, and a measure of joy in who we are. The vestments are not white because we haven't reached the fulfillment and the completion of all of that. We're on the road. This Laetare Sunday, we celebrate the latent joy of the resurrection as we continue to review who we are, evaluate how we are, and strive continually for the perfection and the peace and the glory of Easter. We couldn't call one another stupid at home because that was bullying. It set one of us up over the others. And my mother has always stated, and always will, you are all my children. And I always love you equally, each and every one. Who are we today? Where are we going? And how will we act along the way to get us into the glory of the kingdom?